Well, hey, we're 3 minutes in. Let's get started. I'm so excited for you to join us today, Michael. I just respect you immensely, and I believe that today. So this is Collective Conversations, and it's for everybody here. I know it's for our leaders that we work with and who you work with. We're just so excited to have you. I just look at you as a visionary leader, CEO, speaker, master facilitator, most husband, father, grandfather, Christ follower, influencer, full focus plan, ninja, Blackberry Farms, frequenter, appreciator of good hair, and author of the new book, Vision Driven Leader. Please welcome Michael Hyatt to this Instagram Live.
Thanks, Brad. That may be the best introduction I've ever had.
I tried to put it all in there.
That's amazing.
And two guys who appreciate the hair. We'll get to that later, and maybe in this discussion. But I want to affirm you on a couple things before we get started. Before we ask you some questions, I just want, just like what you just did. There's so many leaders out there that aren't authentic or don't share us, but what I love about you is you really share your home with us, and I just appreciate that as a leader. And I love to watch your family. I love your conversations, with your wife, and I love that how you bring us into that world, and just that vulnerability and that ability to do that is so authentic. And I think anybody following, would affirm you on that. So I just want to say thank you for doing that. It's huge, because I always say in our company, it's not the conference room table, it's also the dinner table. And when you do that, you just bridge that gap, Michael. And I just want to say thank you for leading that charge for a lot of us who are trying to do, follow in your footsteps.
Well, thanks,
awesome.
Brad.
Yep.
That means a lot. Thank you.
And I love, I know you put a lot into a book, and I'm doing a book right now. And it's like, I want you to tell, when you did that Instagram and you flipped through each page and stuff, I'm telling you, Michael, that was the coolest thing ever. It made me want to buy it more. And I'm like, oh my gosh, because the aesthetics are good. The out is beautiful. The outside of it is beautiful. So I just wanted you to know that when you did that, and it engaged me. I'm like, oh, look at that. Look at that chart. Look at that. Oh, I want to get it. So when you did that, that was an awesome thing that you did. And I want to let you know that really hit me, because I was like, wow. So whoever gave me that idea.
Thank you. True story. Wasn't my idea.
Okay.
So my social media marketing manager, Marissa, who's also my youngest daughter, came to me and she said, Dad, Dave Hollis just came out with a new book, and check out what he did on his Insta story where he flipped through, the book. Yeah. And I said, well, I could do that. She said, you got to do that. So thank you, Dave.
Yeah, it was awesome. So, and then finally, and this is going to jump us in, I've got the opportunity to, meet some of your team and work with them and talk to them a little bit. And I want to tell everybody that's listening, when I was in a conversation with one of your teammates yesterday, they literally brought up the vision and what it means to be a part of it and align with it and how it can work with it. So it was immediately that they were like, that was part of our discussion yesterday. So I just want to say this ability to say it's trickled down in the delegation, and how you've casted it and people are living it, and then they're just saying it too, because we all know we can hear it, but then when we live it and then when we say it and use it as a part of our decision making, and not just us as leaders, but the people who work with us and for us, that is huge. So I want to tell you that it's trickling, and I used it with your team. Yes, they used it with me yesterday. So
well, that is awesome to hear. Thank you.
That was so cool. So let's jump into some questions, because people want to hear about this vision-driven leader. I want to always start kind of why did you write the book? What was the impetus? Why did you write this? What was the thing that really brought you to it?
Yeah, so the reason I wrote the book, The Vision Driven Leader, which is brand new, and by the way, you may know this, but it just hit the Wall Street Journal bestseller list.
Awesome.
So I'm super grateful for that. But I wrote it because for my entire career, people have talked about the importance of vision. Only problem is nobody tells you how to do it. So they don't teach it in business school. I checked, the catalogs for all the major universities, major colleges. Nobody offers a course in it. There's very few books that have ever been written on it. I could only find 2 on Amazon, and one of them, to be honest, is confused about the difference between a vision and a mission. Yep. So there's a lot of confusion out there. A lot of people think that you have to be charismatic, maybe even a little bit prophetic or clairvoyant or something, in order to talk about vision. And I said, no, it's not that hard. And so I've been doing this for about 20 years, and I just decided, in fact, one of my teammates came to me and said, I think you really need to deconstruct this process, because we've had a vision script, is what I call it in the book. We've had a vision script since we started this company, Michael Hyatt and Company, back in 2012. And it's shaped our company, and I think it's the single biggest reason why we've been successful. And so that's why I wrote the book. I wanted to make it easy enough that mere mortals, people like us,
Yep.
could write a vision, could create a vision, and be vision-driven leaders.
Awesome. Thank you, Michael. Now, what is your definition of vision, and then why is it so important to leaders and teams? The kind of two-part question.
Yep. So let's start with the definition. That's a great question. That's where I like to start.
Yep.
So let me just say what it's not. I'm not talking about a vision statement.
Yep.
So usually when people use that terminology, they mean something that's a short, pithy, like really clever, almost slogan that you could put on a coffee mug or a T-shirt.
Yep.
Well, first of all, if you could do that, if you were clever enough to do that, it wouldn't be comprehensive enough to really inform sort of the operational decisions, strategic decisions that we need to make that vision should inform. So here's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about a written document, 3 to 5 pages in length, so more robust than that, 3 to 5 pages. It outlines a clear, inspiring, practical, and attractive picture of your organization's future.
Love it.
It describes reality. I'm still in the definition.
Yeah.
It describes reality as you see it 3 to 5 years from now, and it's written in the present tense as though it's already happened. That is a vision script.
Awesome. And why is it so important to leaders and teams from your perspective? Yep.
Yeah, it's so important because as a leader, it presupposes that you have followers. That presupposes that they're following you somewhere. The question is, where?
Yep.
Where are you taking the people that you're leading? Vision answers the question about the destination. This is where we're going. Now, mission answers an important question too. It answers the question, why? Strategy answers an important question, how? How are we going to get from here to where we intend to go? Core values answer an important question about who we are and who we want to become on the journey. But it all starts with vision. You've got to decide where you're going to take the organization that you're leading. I don't care if you're in middle management or you're running a department or you're running an entire corporation of 20,000 people. You got to be clear on the destination. Otherwise, you don't have the right to lead.
Yep. No, I love it. I love that. We do a lot of that in the culture and leadership work that we do, and we have very similar definitions. So it's so good and refreshing to hear.
Good.
Hopefully got it right, So you talked about some of the misconceptions, of like what it is and that kind of thing. Is there any missteps that you see leaders take that can be, detrimental or almost apathetic to we created it cool, but what are some of those that you've seen or maybe taught people or some of those examples maybe?
Yeah, that's a good question. Well, I think people that are in leadership usually got there because they've got a successful record of execution. But here's what I think most of us fail to realize, and that is that execution in an organization is predicated upon alignment. So if you're not aligned and everybody's not rowing in the same direction, you create a lot of sideways energy. So people are busy. In fact, there are a lot of people that are overwhelmed. They're keeping busy doing a lot of stuff, but it's not really rowing in the same direction. So execution is predicated upon alignment, but alignment is predicated upon vision. So to say it backwards, or to say it another way, vision creates alignment, or has the potential to, and then alignment can drive execution, efficient, effective execution. So if you're really concerned about execution, if you want the kind of execution that matters, the kind of execution that doesn't leave you overwhelmed, you got to start with vision. There's another thing that vision does, is that when you have a vision, it acts as a filter. Because the more successful you become, the more opportunities show up at your doorstep, right?
Sure.
But the problem is that a lot of distractions show up at your doorstep masquerading as opportunities.
Yeah, they do.
And without a vision, you don't have a way to decide which is which, or to discern what is what. And so you get involved in a lot of opportunities that will spread your resources too thin, they'll fracture your focus, and you just won't be able to deliver on the outcomes that you need to deliver on. So a vision helps consolidate that and really focus the organization. And I think, the biggest misconception is that you got to have a particular, charisma or a particular gift to be visionary. And most of us think, okay, well, look, Steve Jobs. Yeah, I get it. He's visionary. Or take a guy like Andy Stanley or Craig Rochelle in the church world. Yeah, they're visionary. You know, just take all the great leaders. They're visionary.
Yep.
But not me. I'm just an ordinary Joe. You know, I can't be visionary. And I want to say, bull. You know, most of those people were kind of visionary by accident, but we can be visionary on purpose. And what we really need, and I think this is kind of my writing style, and I think if I have any gift, it's being able to take things that are kind of complicated and deconstructing them and creating a recipe that ordinary people can follow. Yeah. So that's what the vision-driven leader is. It's a recipe for how you can create a vision script that'll drive the execution in your business.
You're a professional dot connector. You connect all the dots.
I like that. I'm gonna start using that.
Do it. So right now we are in a critical moment in our history, right? Yeah. Why is vision so critical in a time like this for a leader, for an organization, why is it so critical? Because I believe it is right now.
I do too. Funny story though, you know, when this all hit, like when it really got my attention, I mean, we were kind of talking about it in our company, but on March 11th, when the president gave that address on that Wednesday night, and that next Thursday morning, I got my team together for the first time. I was leading a workshop with some of our business coaching clients. Mm-hmm. And I said, we got to pivot. We cannot talk about productivity, which was on the schedule for today.
I love that. I love
how to lead through crisis.
I love it.
So we did. So for 2 days, I met with one cohort of 50 business coaching clients. And the next day I met with another 50 here in Franklin, Tennessee, where I live. Yep. And so we pivoted and talked about leading through crisis. And it was important. But I also called my publisher and I said, hey, is there any way we can delay the publication of the book? Because I kind of wasn't counting on a pandemic. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
And so they said to me, they said, well, here's the problem. All the books have been pre-sold at Amazon and Barnes & Noble and Books A Million. All the retailers have them. If we delay the book, all those online retailers, and especially Amazon, which is the biggest retailer, will cancel all those orders to consumers, and people will have to reorder it.
Oh, man.
And I went, wow. So the toothpaste is out of the tube. So I did what every business owner, what every ministry leader, what every nonprofit leader has to do. You got to ask yourself this question. Why is the product or the service that I offer more relevant now than ever?
So good.
So you could ask the wrong question and your mind will serve up, answers to it. You could ask yourself, gee, why is my product not relevant? And you'll come up with a lot of reasons. So I asked myself, is vision more relevant now? Yes. Why is it more relevant than ever? Here's why. People are starving for vision. Because when you're in a crisis, you are so focused on what's immediate and what's consuming our attention and this current reality that you lose touch with what is sort of the long-term meaningful stuff that's essential to your psychological and your emotional, and I would say your spiritual survival. So let me tell you another story.
Yeah.
So in Jim Collins' fabulous book, Good to Great, he tells the story of Admiral James Stockdale. So, and he talks about this concept called the Scottsdale Paradox. Okay, so the idea is this. So Admiral Stockdale, back when he was a captain in the Navy, he was flying on a bombing run over North Vietnam. His plane got shot down. He ejected, parachuted to safety, so to speak, but got captured by the North Vietnamese, and he was in a prisoner of war camp for 7 years. He was in solitary confinement for 4 of those 7 years without Netflix. I mean, we're talking frightening. He was 2 years in leg irons where he was completely immobile. He couldn't move for 2 years. Finally, after 7 years, he was released. Years later, once he became an admiral, Jim Collins interviewed him, and he said, I think there's something to learn here because about organizations in crisis and how they navigate through difficult times. Because Captain Stockdale at the time was responsible not just for his own survival, but he was the commanding officer of all the American soldiers that were in that prisoner of war camp. So he had their physical, psychological well-being. He had to be in charge of that as well. So Jim Collins said to him, I got a big question. Who didn't survive? You suffered 15 separate times of being tortured, 4 years of solitary confinement, 2 years of leg irons. You survived, but who are the people that didn't survive? Without missing a beat, he said, that's easy. The optimists. That was surprising to me.
Wow.
He said, so these guys said, okay, Thanksgiving's coming, and we're going to be released. and then Thanksgiving would come and go and they weren't released. And they said, okay, but Easter, we're going to be released at Easter. And Easter would come and go and they weren't released.
Wow.
And he said they eventually died of a broken heart. So he said to him, he said, well, who are the people that did survive?
Mm-hmm.
And he said, well, they had two qualities. He said, first of all, they were willing to confront and be honest about the most brutal facts of their current existence. So here in the midst of this coronavirus, we got to be honest. This is a real problem. There's some debate about how big a problem it is, but it's a problem. There's the public health problem. There's also the economic impact of it, which I think, regardless of how big you think the public health part of it is, the economic impact is going to be significant and it's going to be with us for a while. But they've got to be willing to face the most brutal facts of their current reality. So that's part one of the paradox. Equally important, so I would say that's realism.
Yep.
Part two is that they never lost faith that they would ultimately triumph and that this would become one of the most important defining moments of their life. So they held on to both of those truths tenaciously. And so the thing that is missing right now in the current environment and why vision is so relevant is because while the current reality and the brutalness of the current reality is very present to us,
mm-hmm.
that hope that eventually we're going to emerge successfully and we're going to get through this, that's what people have lost. And that's why vision, if you're a leader, why it's so important. Andy Stanley says that vision leaks. So I've kind of visualized it as everybody in your organization is running around with a vision bucket, most of which are empty.
Wow.
Your job as a leader is to keep filling that bucket with vision. It's the lifeblood psychologically and spiritually of your organization. You're only going to keep it alive and keep people moving towards a future that they're willing to help create instead of just reacting to the present. If they can create a future, that's the role of vision. Vision will give them that connection between what they're doing now to survive and the meaning that it really matters.
That is so strong. What an amazing story. And through all that torture and whatever, I remember that. So I have a question for you. In the next 30, 60, 90 days, we hope, people are going to be coming back to work, right? Leaders are going to be coming back to work. They're in an environment right now. Hey, we're going to, we'll see what that happens. My question is, this is a two-part question. Do visions need to change or be gut checked right now? And then what advice would you give leaders around their vision during this time? Because so much has changed, but maybe the target may be new for reinvention and stuff like that. So first part is, do visions need to change and do we need to gut check it? And then the second part, I'll ask it again once you answer that one.
Yeah. First of all, two great questions. Here's what I would say. I want to first differentiate between vision and strategy. Both are important, but people often confuse these. So vision is about the destination. Strategy is about how we get there. So again, vision is about the where, strategy is about the how. Now, I'll give you another example. Every fall, and you know this from living in the Nashville area, there is a pilgrimage down to Seaside, Destin, Rosemary Beach, the panhandle of Florida.
Sure.
My entire family drives down there every fall. We rent a couple of beach houses and we spend a week there, and it's one of our favorite things to do, all year long. The destination we're clear about. We're aligned about it. And in fact, we're usually clear when we start out about the strategy, because we're going to drive on I-65 straight south through Birmingham. Then once we get a little bit south of Birmingham, we're going to go southeast on a bunch of back roads and eventually get to the panhandle of Florida. But occasionally, there's road construction that causes a detour. Or there might be weather that cause a delay. Or there might be a big wreck, a big semi, gets in a wreck, and that causes a detour. That's akin to the strategy. So the destination doesn't change. We're still going to Rosemary Beach. But the strategy may change. We may have to get off I-65 and take a bunch of back roads. We may have to completely detour around the wreck or the weather or whatever it is, but the destination doesn't change. Okay, so now back to the question. So your vision really shouldn't change that much, because again, it's 3 to 5 years from now. I think almost everybody agrees that while reality is going to be different, there's going to be a different normal. I don't think the old normal is coming back quite like it was, maybe 85% of what it was. but there's going to be something new. I think it's going to be equally awesome, but in different ways.
Sure.
But it means that my vision, for the most part, is still intact. It's just that people have lost their connection to it. Now, should your strategy change? Absolutely. You know, in fact, there is an opportunity here to do what you've been doing, or let me say, there's an opportunity to accelerate decisions that you know you've needed to make for a long time. You know, maybe it's people that are on your team that are toxic and you've tolerated them for a long time, and now you know you can't afford toxic teammates, and you're willing to make the hard decision that you were unwilling to make a month ago, you know, to get rid of them. There may be been things that you needed to prune out of your business or out of your ministry that you just thought, you know, it's kind of lame. It's not really producing, but we're making enough money, or we've got enough money coming in that we're going to continue to float this thing that really doesn't have any business being part of what we're doing. So you make the hard decision to prune it. Or maybe there's businesses or opportunities that you wanted to pursue, and there's always opportunities in a crisis. Things that we wanted to pursue that just didn't make sense before from a strategy standpoint, but now, absolutely, we realize that we can accelerate our progress toward the vision in this environment if we're willing to be courageous and take the actions, change our strategy, and take the actions we need to take.
I love it. This is so good. And from that, one just came to me. How do you reward people for accomplishing the vision? What does that look like?
Yeah. Well, first of all, you know, I think this is a whole operating philosophy as a business. And let me just speak to the business context. We have a compensation structure in our company where when I win as the business owner, everybody else wins. So we got a new CFO here about a year ago. And so this last year, coming through 2019, we paid out bonuses. Everybody maxed out their bonus in 2019. So we were cutting checks to distribute in January when we had our all-team meeting. And he said, well, actually, we outperformed the budget. You know, we went beyond the max. And so he said, I'm assuming that you only want to pay people the max. And I said, no. I said, I want to pay people. We believe in no cap bonuses. So if I'm going to win, everybody else is going to win. So I won bigger than I thought I was going to win. And I want everybody else to win bigger than they thought they were going to win. So we paid them above their maximum bonuses. Why? Because we're making progress toward that vision. So people have to feel invested. They have to feel like there's a benefit to them, because everybody in the world listens to this radio station. I promise you, a lot of people have never heard of it. WIIFM. Have you ever heard of it?
Yeah, whiff them.
What's in it for me?
Yeah.
What's in it for me? So that's what people want to know. You know, when you share the vision, that's the first thing people question. The first thing people ask is, am I still going to have a job? If we achieve this vision, what does it mean for me? Am I going to lose my job? And people typically go to fear before they go to, you know, the upside. So I think you got to reassure them that say, look, we don't, you know, your role may change. My role may change. This vision is going to require all of us to step up in a new way and level up. But in addition to that, all of us are going to be financially rewarded as we accomplish this. So that's how I think about it.
That's awesome. One last question, and then I'm going to do this thing I call Rapid Fire 5, and we'll just go real quick, a minute, and then we'll wrap up the whole thing. But when you think of how big does the vision need to be, and how big can it be?
Yeah, that's great. I think of it exactly like I think about goal setting. So I wrote about this in my book, Your Best Year Ever. So you could set goals, or you could set your vision in the comfort zone. Now, this is where you have total clarity on how you're going to achieve it. You have certainty about the fact that you can achieve it, and you don't have any self-doubt. You know that you've led to the situation you're in now, and this is just an incremental shift up, so you know, pretty sure you can do it. That's the comfort zone. Nothing good happens in the comfort zone. And in addition to that, all the goal achievement research that I've done shows that you're less likely to achieve a goal that's in your comfort zone than one that's in your discomfort zone. Now, let me just tell you the difference. A discomfort zone vision is when you feel a little bit of fear. You go, whoa, that is big. And that scares me a little bit, because there's a possibility that we don't achieve it. There's also uncertainty, because you say, I don't even know how we're going to do this. I don't see where we're going to get the resources. I don't have the contacts. I'm not smart enough. I don't have the skills. I don't have the team, whatever. So there's uncertainty. And by the way, pro tip here, as you're constructing your vision, do not ask the question how too early. You have to set aside that question, suspend that. You're eventually going to have to get to it, but you got to suspend it while you dream. Then the final thing, there should be some self-doubt. So in other words, like, I'm not sure I've got the leadership to pull this off. You know, I'm not sure I've got what it takes to pull this off. If you feel fear, uncertainty, and doubt, that's discomfort. That means you're on the right track.
Yep.
What you don't want is you don't want the vision in the delusion zone, right?
Sure.
So that it's so far out there, so crazy that when you tell people, they laugh and you have zero credibility.
Yeah. No, it's great. You know, this is crazy, Michael, this morning, you know, Matt Batterson's book, the Draw Your Circle, the 40-day, I read this morning, the chapter, Go, Set, Ready, the backwards of Ready, Set, Go, which is about having a big dream. That's amazing. That's what I read this morning, which you just kind of just talked about. All right. You ready for the rapid fire 5?
I am.
This is where people get to know you. All right. These are going to be critical. All right. Favorite breakfast food?
Well, it's what I eat every day. 2 eggs over 1.
Awesome. All right. Sit by the fire or a long walk?
I love both those, but sit by the fire, which is what I did all day.
I've seen you both on Instagram sometime, trying to see what's best. All right. This one's going to be tough. Blackberry Farm or Destin, like you just said?
Blackberry Farm. There is no destination in the world or the universe that would trump Blackberry Farm.
Host Christmas with the family or host Thanksgiving? You can't say both.
Christmas.
Okay. All right. This is super important, especially to me. Hair gel or hairspray?
Both.
Me too. That's awesome. All right, Michael, as we wrap up, is there any final things that you want to kind of share with the audience, put out there, and then please tell them where they can find your book and where they can reach out for resources, you know, and during this time, you're doing a lot around the coaching and crisis as well. So please tell everybody, you know, any final thoughts, anything, you know, where they can find your book, and then obviously anything else you can help them with.
Well, you can find the book at all the major retailers, you know, Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Books A Million, whatever. But the important place to go to, don't miss this, visiondrivenleader.com.
Okay.
And when you go to that website, we've got over $100 worth of free bonuses. All you have to do is bring your receipt from wherever you bought it, enter in the receipt number, and we'll give you instant access to the bonuses on that site. They're going to help you get to your vision script faster and easier than you would otherwise. So these are like some hacks, some pro tools, and they're yours free. All you got to do is buy a copy of the book.
That's awesome. Hey, Michael, I'm a guy that's on schedule, and I know that you guys too are right at 10:30. Thank you so much for, you know, engaging with us and going through
Absolutely
great questions. You know, great answers to the questions. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Brad. Thanks for having me on.
All right. See you, Michael.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.